Liquid Loans is the first truly decentralized lending protocol built specifically for Pulsechain. Fully backed stablecoin, low 100% collateral ratio, no repayment schedule, immutable, governance-free, no admin keys. Visit liquidloans.io to learn more or to watch videos to find out how it works. Hey guys, welcome. Zone 5 of Pulsechain Podcast. This is the new podcast where you can find all of your latest Pulsechain information. And today we're going to be looking back a little bit of the history. How did Pulsechain come to be with one of the core community members, RG3. We've got Corey Costa joining us as our local expert. It's going to be on every episode of the podcast. And then I'm also joined by the lovely Duchess of DeFi herself, Cassie Wolf, ladies and gentlemen, in studio.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, we're really excited to do this. I made it a point not to do any research on this. Really looking forward to meeting all the people, and I even grabbed myself a Pulsechain bag. So
you did. Is it like one of your Gucci bags?
It looks just as good, and I can keep all my money in crypto.
Here we go. We got RG3 from the Hex and Pulsechain community, a producer of the High Stakes movie. Your friend, my friend of the community. Welcome, RG3.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Yo. You know, there's a lot of people out there who are misunderstood. Cassie gets misunderstood sometimes. I get misunderstood sometimes. Our guy, Richard Hart, totally misunderstood. Let's start with Corey real quick. Corey, what are your thoughts on Richard? And as we move to talking about Pulsechain, throughout, the many episodes of this podcast, sponsored by Liquid Loans, by the way. What I'm seeing is the Pulsechain community kind of is wanting to pull away a little bit and kind of be its own independent thing. And there's some Hex people still trying to hold on to that. But it's almost like Pulsechain is where things are going. But we got to look back and look at what Richard Hart built here. What are your thoughts on, Richard Hart and what he built, the genesis from Hex all the way to where we're at now with Pulsechain?
Sure. So when you see any evolution of any layer one community, you start seeing the community itself start to act in its own entity as opposed to the full reliance on the founder itself. I noticed that there was a lot more reliancy on Richard before Pulsechain launched. And now, as many projects have launched, including, Liquid Loans, the sponsor of this podcast, many projects have launched and have really taken the helm on promoting and expanding this chain as an independent entity. But that's not going, that can't discount anything surrounding what Richard Hart has built. I mean, RG3 and I would not be here without Richard Hart's ideas and perspectives and building Pulsechain. I mean, personally, for me, I was drawn to Pulsechain at first, not necessarily Hex. So I'm watching Pulsechain grow, but I'm still watching the community take what Richard Hart says is very important. I think it's very important that we keep that type of virtue and the type of, I guess you could say, tradition surrounding, the teachings of Richard Hart. I do believe that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I don't know which was it. Was it the parable of the Red Bull and the two Lambos that he told atop the mountain? Was that the parable that he told?
That was a little bit too much for me. I was a little bit too much.
So listen. RG3, we heard what Corey said. Somebody who came into the Pulsechain community, kind of, that's where he kind of came in and found Hex and things like that. You're a guy who's been around, I guess, the beginning of Hex, because I think we were talking a minute ago, and you said you were watching what Richard was saying in 2017. I guess Hex launched officially in 2019, correct? So you've been here since the beginning. Tell me about how did you get into it? How did you find Richard? And, tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so been around crypto since before it started. I had a gaming company that people were trying to show us in-game cryptos. Missed Bitcoin, kind of looked over it, thought it was kind of funky, scammy, PayPal remake or whatever. And then 14 started getting invested because of what I saw with the numbers. And running around 2017, when crypto really took off, I ran into Richard Hart, some of his streams, saw the top hat stuff, Yeah. He was very smart, a little goofy as far as I was concerned. But then he called the top in 2017. And I was upset about it. Wanted to block him and follow him and all that kind of stuff. And a day later, woke up and realized that, hey, dummy, that guy called the top. He's somebody you want to follow, you want to listen to, versus, blocking him because you're mad because crypto's going down and you're still holding all your bags as they deflate, right? So started watching Richard, looked into all of his old videos and said, wow, this is a real dude here. This guy is really speaking truth. He said, I come from the streets of LA, grew up in Inglewood, and learned people. And when somebody's saying something and they're being real, you kind of pick it up. And I picked that up from Richard early on. And I said, well, whatever this guy does in crypto, because I hadn't seen that in crypto. I'd seen a lot of scams. I've seen a lot of people talking, smack out the side of their neck and then run off with everybody's money. And that had me disillusioned. I wanted out. I was leaving this space. But then I said, well, this Richard cat, he's doing the right thing. He's saying the right things. He's trying to self-help. He sounds real. He sounds down. He sounds like he wants to help. I'm going to get involved. So I aped in all of my investments in crypto into Hex in the beginning before Richard launched it, and decided, that's the direction I wanted to go. And then seeing the people that started to come around the Hex community. And it's all started in the Telegram rooms, in the Hex.com Telegram room. And there were just so many really smart people in crypto congregating there. That's where they were coming from. So what I wanted to do, and knowing what I do as far as networking and building communities, I wanted to set up a YouTube channel that showcased those very smart people that were in the Telegram room, bring them into the light so that people can see them. So that's really all I did to be part of this community. Was I was the guy that pushed the button and said, hey guys, come on. I think I had the only YouTube channel that literally every week we threw the stream key out there for anybody to join, like threw it on Twitter, threw it in the Telegram room, and said, anybody come on in, let's go. And that's how it started. And that's how the community started developing all the YouTube channels. And that was on Discord Syndicate where we did that.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing.
I love that concept. And
it was scary, and it hasn't always served us well, but it worked. It worked.
Well, yeah, I tell you, at night Gary Kinsler came on. It was intense. Look, here's the thing. I love all that. I think that definitely Richard has been correct. I mean, look, it's not hard to be correct in this market. All you have to do is go with what's happened before and kind of say it's going to happen again. And so far, that has been an effective way to call the market. Mm-hmm. Richard calling the top. I call the top and the bottom. I called the top time frame, missed the number. Then the bottom we hit directly. I said that within $1,000 of the number, and then literally within 2 weeks of when we called it a year before. Because it's just easy to see this stuff. And, a lot of people get focused on the number and they get focused on the money and number go up and yada, yada, yada. But really, like, one of the reasons that you and I, RG3, we really connect is we care about crypto adoption. And, Cass is CEO of Bitcoin here. And we've got some other stuff that we're kind of working on the side with some adoption stuff. But I think the thing that really impressed me the most is just the way you guys in the Hex community were able to onboard people.
Oh, yeah. It's not easy to buy Pulsechain.
It's DeFi. And it's hard enough. The barrier of entry to get into crypto is hard enough with KYC, ML, and everything to get into an exchange, to get into Coinbase or whatever it is. But actually moving yourself from that space into DeFi is a whole nother level of issues. So that's been the difficult part in all of crypto, was for us to adopt and to break that barrier down. I do want to caution everybody, however, like what you were saying earlier, is that, when lightning strikes once, it doesn't mean it's going to strike again, but it leaves clues. Success leaves clues. Good leadership, good crypto development, good programming and processes leave clues. And that's what we have here, is clues. So I want every investor to understand that, just because something 10,000x doesn't mean that everything will happen again that way. But if it is good products, if it is a good community, if it are good things happening within the crypto space, then there's clues there. And that's the place that you want to be. That's the place that you want to develop or be part of. Or if you're an investor, start looking into. So caution everybody that, because everybody, like you said, they get into this number thing. They want to get the next 10,000x. Well, this is where I'm going to go and I'm going to put my money. And then they get disappointed. Like we've seen people that did that, who got into Pulsechain early on during the sacrifice phase. And now they're all soured over it because lightning didn't strike twice, and it's like, it's not in your time frame. And you are in a better space, and DeFi is better than the crypto that we had before, but you have to give it time. You have to give it adoption. We have to break these other barriers down. So yes, we are in a good place. Yes, it is still the wild, wild west. So investor, beware and be smart.
Thank you to Liquid Loans, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast. With Liquid Loans, you never have to sell your Pulse. Hashtag never selling. With liquidloans.io, never selling is more than just a meme. It's actually kind of possible. So if you've ever wanted to have your Lambo and drive it too, then start your zero interest-free loan journey today. Liquidloans.io.
I have to agree 100% with RG3. I think there was this notion, at least from when I got into Pulsechain, that there was this perspective that Pulsechain and Pulsex as well, the DEX on Pulsechain, the premier DEX on Pulsechain, was going to do the same thing in the same allotted time. And I think that was, a fault of, I don't blame any one person, but I think that there was a lot of community leaders that were touting, this was going to happen and this was going to happen when no one really has a crystal ball by any means. However, I will say this, that in my perspective, in being in cryptocurrency since 2017, I haven't been in crypto as long as RG3 has, but I've been in a lot of different communities. I've been ambassadors for different communities in the past. And I have to say, for all the gatekeeping that's occurring with Hex and Pulsechain, the amount of support and growth that has occurred, even with the prices right now not performing as what people thought was going to happen, it's very impressive given the fact about how much we have been gatekept from centralized exchanges, even what we would define as DEX exchanges with Hex. So I have to agree with RG3 and everything that he said about, perseverance surrounding the community.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think a big part of it, we don't see this with meme coins, right, is your community has a mission. They have a purpose. It's not just about, the number going up, and they're willing to take the time to educate and talk to others to bring them in, because it's not just about the numbers, right? There's a goal here. And that's not something you find. I honestly can't even think of any other community. I mean, maybe the Bitcoin maxis.
No, but look, Bitcoin max is a general term, right? Bitcoin max is a general term we use to refer to the hardline maxis that are rude and toxic, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of Bitcoin maximalists that are out there. They're pretty cool. There's like, I don't mess with these other coins. Like Michael Saylor, he kind of said some stuff against Ethereum, and he did say some bullish stuff recently. But before he said the bearish stuff about Ethereum, he was like, yeah, I mean, it's just it was just all coins are venture capital projects. Good luck to them. I like Bitcoin. Like, okay, cool. I like that. But it's when they say, you're an idiot, and nobody knows this better than the Hex people. You're an idiot for investing in Hex. You should have invested in Bitcoin like me 20 years ago before it was even created. It would be rich. I mean, these guys are very, very toxic in that community. But even those guys, a lot of those Bitcoin maximalists don't care about actually using Bitcoin outside of using it as a currency because they have so much they don't care. Right. They have millions of dollars and billions sometimes. Sure, they want to go buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin. It means nothing to them, right? They're not. I don't think these guys are out there using ordinals and DeFi and Bitcoin. Maybe some of them are. I don't think there's another community like the Hex community and the Pulsechain community now. That the entire community knows how to do DeFi.
Oh, no.
100.
Yeah, and I guess that's one thing I want to touch on here with you, RG3. Is, the thing that dawned on me that kind of gave me this epiphany, like, man, I got to get more into this Pulsechain community and talk to these people. The idea of Pulsechain, it was one thing, but it started out as Hex, right? It started out as something maybe a little bit different. And Hex was very confusing to me in the beginning. I was there at the beginning. I could have been in the very, very beginning of Hex. I had some at the very beginning. I've sold, I think I got $350, turned to $50K. I sold it. J-Chains got hacked. This is a true story. Talked about one time. He got hacked, lost like $25,000. And we had $350 in Hex that we had that turned to $50,000 on behalf of the podcast, and he lost the money. And I was like, you know what? Let's just sell this and we'll half it, and I'll get $25K. I didn't need it at the time, and I was like, you can, do that. So that's what we did. We sold it. Wish I would have held on to it, obviously. But the reason why I didn't understand it was because it was DeFi before any of us were doing DeFi, and it was like, what is this crazy? It made no sense trying to get on this platform, trying to use it. Like I was on this win platform. I'm like, what am I doing? I managed to plod my way through it. But when did this thing go from, all right, let's DeFi, original DeFi, to let's just build our own freaking blockchain? And what was that transition like, as we move kind of into Pulsechain from Hex? What happened there?
Let's talk about what we got. So first of all, the maxi thing. Let's face it. There are people that need Bitcoin to survive and to be successful. And they're big people. The biggest in the world need Bitcoin to be successful. So they're going to show you the garbage that it is. Sorry, folks. I think Bitcoin is garbage. If Bitcoin came out today with the code that it's written in, it would be laughed out of the space. Sorry, folks. But yes, Bitcoin holds liquidity. Bitcoin is the king because Bitcoin started, and it deserves that respect. And I give it that respect. And my good family member, Valley, he disagrees with me. He thinks that Bitcoin is the bee's knees, but I love him and I respect him, and that's fine because that's a different type of maxi.
You have a family member
that are trying to sell you.
You have a family member that's a maxi? Did I hear that correctly?
Yes. I have a family member that's a maxi.
brother.
But he does have Hex also.
Okay.
But he understands now and he's learning, and he's been shilled to for so long that he's bought into that narrative. But let's face it, Bitcoin needed to be improved, and the stuff that was out there wasn't improving it. Richard did that with Hex. Period. End of story. It improves Bitcoin. It is a better Bitcoin. It's inflation model. I mean, I don't want to get into Hex because we can talk for hours about Hex. Hex is better Bitcoin, period. Go look it up. Go look for it yourself. If you're smart enough, you'll figure it out. If you're not, you're just go ahead and sit in the maxi crew. Pulsechain. Pulsechain was required for Hex to work. Why? Because Ethereum's broken also. We all know it. Ethereum's broken. It needed to be fixed. All Richard did was fix Ethereum. The L1 Pulsechain is nothing special, guys. It is a fork of Ethereum. It's Ethereum that works. That's all it is. We need to talk about what we can do with it now. We need to talk about the future of DeFi that exists because of Pulsechain. For instance, let's just talk real quick about a crypto that I know about, that I'm helping with, that's being built on Pulsechain. Gifford Ware, a developer out there, decided he's going to use the Pulsechain to try and create a new financial tool. Look, because we have DeFi, we can now take things that exist in the financial world and not even as product, but just as sentiment, as things that happen. For instance, burning tokens. Burning tokens is something that exists in the financial world as like a stock that sits in somebody's wallet forever, that never gets sold. That doesn't happen naturally or occur in a product set. That happens in crypto as a product because now we can burn things. So for instance, we have a token that's being developed right now called Gifford token. And this Gifford token, what you can do is buy it. And it's just a token. It's just a meme coin. That's it. It's just a meme coin. Now this meme coin can now be bought and burned by a protocol that is called PGIF. And what does PGIF do? PGIF takes it and it says, okay, you throw this token and some Pulsechain into this protocol, and we're going to take the two tokens and one of them is going to burn. So the Gifford token is going to get burned, therefore increasing the value of it. Now the pulse that gets put in is going to create a new token called PGIF. And this PGIF now has value because why? Because the pulse that's being inserted into the system is buying the PGIF token and burning it. So the token you just created, not minted out of mining or anything else, you created it by putting value of two tokens in, one of which was burned, one of which used that token to buy and burn your token. So see, what I'm saying is, and I'm not trying to shill this or show you, but I'm saying that now because Pulsechain exists, these type of financial tools can be developed and used in the DeFi space like never before. This couldn't have been done on Ethereum because of cost and because of the network and how it functions. On Pulsechain, you can do these. And now the sky is the limit for all the financial heads to go out there and start creating and developing tokens that can do things that the world has never seen in finance before. Forget the CD of Hex. That's in and of itself, that's an amazing product with its inflation model and everything. But let's see what we can do in real finance and change the whole crypto space by using these things on a real DeFi platform. They don't even know what's coming. The old crypto folks, the guys that just bought all that Bitcoin, they don't even know what we've done over here. It's going to get really, really crazy, really, really fast. And all we have to do now is focus on breaking the barrier to entry. Once we do that, then we will bring people into DeFi and people can utilize these tools to do all kinds of wonderful stuff in the financial space.
I got it. We'll just tell. I know how I got it, guys. I know we're going to onboard everybody. We're going to say, hey, guys, come on in here for the tech. That's it.
Yeah.
We say for the tech. For the tech. Cassie, you love tokenomics. It has a special place in your heart. It makes you feel kind of, nervous feelings, butterflies in your stomach. She loves it.
I do. I love tokenomics.
She loves tokenomics.
And on what RG3 was talking about, I can tell you, I was in crypto for probably 4 months before I really understood it at all. It was meme coins, Shiba Inu, and just stuff like that. And there was a day in May, the market crashed. And I was like trying to sell my meme coins on Ethereum. The fees were like $400, and I'm just like, sell it. And I realized after that, because of course, shortly after I sold, like the market went back up, right? And I was frustrated.
You needed me.
I was so frustrated. And I realized I was sitting there, it's like, you know what? This is actually something, this is huge. Whatever it is I'm playing with right now is a really big deal. And I need to understand it. I need to make sure I'm making good decisions. And I wasn't in any serious projects at that point. It was all meme coins, because everything was pumping. And so I think I sat there for about 3 hours. It's like, I need to understand how smart contracts work. Right. And I read all these articles, and I still, from reading them, because of all the technical garbage, like I still didn't understand them. It was actually, I was reading an article. There was an interview with Mark Cuban, and he explained smart contracts with the example being insurance policies, like drought insurance. And that's when it clicked for me.
Yeah.
So hearing what you're like, when you're talking about these creative things that can be done on Pulse, I'm really interested in that. And I want to look into it, because I really view DeFi as, it's like art with numbers.
Ooh.
And
Ooh, I got the chills.
The products that we could make, it's insane.
So something you said, Cassie. So market sentiment and number go up need to be disassociated completely from tech. See, the problem is that we think something that's good, something that's going to do something great, something that changes finance is going to make the number to go up. We know that that is 100% false when something like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu goes to the moon. We know it. And we all have to sit back and go, wait a second. We have to wait for this market to settle down, just like the stock market took years and years for it to settle down because of liquidity, because of people being involved in it, because of people coming in and out of it, because of the speculation that's going on. So we know that we're in the right space with DeFi, and we know that we've gotten into the right place with Pulsechain because it functions, it works, it hasn't gone down, it doesn't need to go down. It is truly decentralized as far as the validating goes. It's not a mining protocol. It is a proof of stake coin. We have to look at all the good that's going in over here and say, okay, we need to play this like a Warren Buffett would have in this beginning of the stock market days. We need to get into the right space. We need to stay there. Only people who make money in crypto, those are the holders, and those are the founders of cryptos. So get into that space and be one of those. Be part of the system. Go and validate, go and liquidity provide, whatever it is, get into the DeFi space and start doing that. And then let all those of us who want to save the DeFi space, me and Ben, Corey, go out there and start advocating for saving the crypto space, for saving DeFi, for going to the regulators and the congressmen and the senators and pushing it so that we can win versus lose to the centralized exchanges and the BlackRocks and the people that we've been trying to replace.
They have replaced us. TradFi has now taken over crypto. It's official. Now we got to pry it back.
Inevitable truth, yes.
In today's market, keeping investments safe is a top priority. Thanks to Liquid Loans, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast, there's a smart way to protect and grow your assets. Their platform offers a stable shield against market volatility. Interested in transforming your financial landscape? Visit liquidloans.io and find out how to make your assets work harder for you. It's a strategy worth exploring. The thing I was going to say is you said a big part of the system is liquidity. And that is 100% true. And that reminds me of our title sponsor of the show, Zone 5 Pulsechain Podcast, Liquid Loans. We're going to be learning a lot more about Liquid Loans here in the next few weeks in the Pulsechain Podcast, as we have many guests on talking about many cool things. But Liquid Loans is a great project in the ecosystem. And you were talking about drought insurance. Well, I tell you what, with Liquid Loans, you'll never have a drought because it's liquid. Corey, you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about Liquid Loans?
Sure. So I've interviewed Liquid Loans a few times on my channel, and they are the highest TVL project on Pulsechain. I want to highlight the fact that Liquid Loans, first of all, Pulsechain has over 100 projects that have launched on the chain, and Liquid Loans, out of all those projects, has the highest TVL outside of the RH, the Richard Hart coins. Basically, what Liquid Loans is it's the first fully and truly decentralized lending protocol built specifically on Pulsechain. It has a fully backed stablecoin. It has a low 110% collateral ratio, no repayment schedule, immutable and governance free, and there's no admin keys. You can basically borrow one USDL, which is the stablecoin, for one USD. a fully backed stablecoin back to the US dollar that's maintained by an algorithmic monetary policy. So there is so Liquid Loans is a fantastic project on Pulsechain, and I think that there's a reason why they have the highest TVL out of every single project on Pulsechain outside the RH ticker. So just wanted to give a little shout out to Liquid Loans as well for being an amazing project that's brought on a lot of TVL for Pulsechain.
Well, they're allowing us to give people the Pulsechain gospel. We do know, we were just listening to some of the Richard Hart parables a little bit earlier. I don't know. I heard about the one where he went and he saw the woman at the well. That's right. There was a woman at the well. She had done some things that she was ashamed of. And Richard Hart walked up to her, asked her what was wrong. She told him. And he said, "That's cool. You know, these shorts are Louis Vuitton." So it's cool. One of the great Richard Hart parables again. I tell you, amazing. This Richard Hart guy. I love Richard Hart though. Like, people don't know how much I really do love him so much. I'm like, he's always been kind of like my guilty pleasure, my little guilty pleasure, enjoying Richard Hart's content and watching him talk and school people, and always thinking to myself, I said this publicly before, the only debate I ever turned down was against Richard Hart.
I remember you told me that.
I will not debate Richard Hart because he's really smart and he can cover both sides of an argument. But let's talk about kind of where things are going. We've talked about where things have been. We talked about the transition into Pulsechain, and you needed that because Ethereum was broken. I thought you made a lot of great points, and I was afraid for a minute Cassie might try to fight you because she is an ETH maxi. She loves the Ethereum blockchain.
I hate Ethereum. I'm sorry.
She loves. I tell you, that Vitalik Buterin. I tell you what, she got the next best thing, boys. All right. So, she loves Ethereum. But look, I really like what you said there, RG3, where you said like it had to be made because Ethereum is broken. Do you think when we look at the future of Pulsechain, having over 100 projects launched, Corey, and thanks for that stat, that's amazing. But are you not scared at all of the fact that it's still tied to the Ethereum chain in some form or fashion? Will be something, because I just think the Ethereum ecosystem is going to, outside of RWA, I think it's going to die. I don't know.
I don't think Ethereum's ever going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that they will fix itself. It will get fixed eventually, or it will, have to go away, right? So the fixes are there. Richard fixed it. So they can go back and do the things that they need to do also. They just haven't. Now, in my opinion, somebody's being held hostage there. There is a reason why they haven't fixed everything. There are people making money by things being broken still. So let's not forget that. Let's not forget that in this space. There is no virtue in this space. Let's not forget that either. So the fact that people are making money off of this being broken, just make your own conclusion from that. Now, I think that there is not going to be, with Web3, when we look at the bigger picture, with Web3 coming, with AI being generated, things are going to get better in this space, not worse. We need to be chain agnostic. Do I like Pulsechain? Yes. Is it my favorite chain and I'm vested in it? Am I working on it? Yes. But are there going to be other chains? Are there going to be chains that are proof of hard drive space? Are there going to be chains that are going to be proof of video card space, where Web3 is going to need to tap into? Are there going to be those things? Yes, of course. We need blockchain to bring those things to fruition. In order for us to all put on our goggles and do things like me and Ben sit down on Sunday afternoon, he's back east, I'm back west, and we want to sit down and watch the Dallas Cowboys game on the 50-yard line and have a beer together, we're going to be able to do that on Web3. But there has to be the space out there to do it in. There has to be blockchain to create that. There has to be commerce and crypto to be involved in that. And that's what's happening before our very eyes. And it's going to happen. We're going to have to see more chains come out that bring these things to the Web3 space. And it's necessary. It's happening. It's in its baby infancy stages, but it's going to happen fast. It's going to be in a hyperdrive. We know how these things go. And we know when technologies come out and they start to develop, they move fast. And that's what we're going to see. Web3, we're ready for Web3. It just, crypto and blockchain wasn't ready for Web3. And I traveled the world a couple years ago. I met with Ferrari. I met with some other companies back in Europe that were trying to bring Web3 to their product. And they were like, why can't we? What's wrong? And I'm like, because the blockchains aren't going to support it. And you need something like Pulsechain. And Pulsechain hadn't come out then, obviously, but they went with other blockchains and they got hosed. And they had problems because those blockchains were not ready for prime time. And now we have one that is. So now Web3 projects can start launching on Pulsechain and doing what it is that they're supposed to be doing, because they're not going to have downtime. They're not going to have expensive programming costs. And it's here and it's viable. We're building on it. We're starting to do things with it. And there are 100 and however many projects out there now trying to do it also. So it's coming, and being invested in this space right now, whether you're a developer or an investor, is the smart move. And now we just got to hope for people to go out there and protect DeFi. We cannot lose DeFi. That is the thing that has to be iterated. Barrier to entry and protect DeFi. The other stuff's going to work itself out because it's there. Pulsechain's there. It's working. It's functional. Richard did it. Boom. Yay. Now go build. But we've got to protect DeFi. If we lose this to the CeFi space, to the BlackRocks, that's it, man. That's it.
Yeah. Well, BlackRock's, man, I tell you what, these people at BlackRock. Larry Fink, come on my channel. I'd love to interview Larry Fink.
What are you thinking?
But I tell you what, we are just, hey, BlackRock, here, take all our money too. That's what we're saying too. Look, here's the thing. We could go on forever. RG3, you're one of my favorite people. And that's why you and I, we're going to be doing something in the adoption space together. We'll have some more news on that coming up here pretty soon, next few weeks. But I think, we just want to reiterate, we are super excited to do this podcast because we believe that the Pulsechain and the Hex community, we have to always say those two together right now, at least for now. They've done something that nobody else in crypto has been able to do. And they turned doubters into believers. And I did a poll. Over 50% of people on crypto Twitter believe Hex and Pulsechain are legitimate projects. Then people, this black labeling, the blacklist, which I'm sure we'll talk about in another episode. We could have talked plenty about on this episode to Hex because it doesn't play by the same rules that the normal VC raised projects do. It's really a shame. And I want to see Hex and Pulsechain not just get that 50%. Like, let's let everybody see this was really kind of the birth of DeFi in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of arguments. Like there's a lot of arguments on who really created the first digital currency, right? There's a lot of different arguments on that. We know Satoshi first used blockchain. But the fact is, it doesn't matter who is necessarily first. What matters is we're all here and we're all together. And these projects have very viable communities that have done some cool stuff. We want to learn from that. Cassie CEO of Bitcoin, of course, for crypto adoption. And I'm excited to see where this is going to go. And, special thank you to Liquid Loans, again, our title sponsor. And Corey, thanks for being on.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say, basically, I'll tell you one thing. At first, I was a doubter as well. The first time I got introduced to Hex, I got a postcard in the mail, and I looked at it and said, what the hell is this? And threw it out. And then a week later, I was in a meditation course, and some guy went up to me after we were done and said, what do I do for a living? I said, yeah, I'm an ambassador for crypto while I'm in college. He's like, you ever heard of Hex? I'm like, I have, but I'm not really interested in it that much. And then I saw it run up, and then like 3 weeks later, I heard about Pulsechain from somebody on Twitter, and like the rest was history, and I was easily turned into a believer within a month's time. So I know how the doubting feels, and then what happens right after. It was it's incredible feeling.
The postcards. I love the postcards.
I tell you what.
That's great.
That Richard Hart.
And that was community effort, by the way. That wasn't a Richard Hart thing. That was one of the members of the community put up the funds, put up the know-how, and did it on his own. And, he was even investigated by the government for it. I mean, and the guy did that. That was a community effort.
Oh, he did
it. I think I remember that. Well, actually.
I got a subpoena.
Yeah.
I got a subpoena from the SEC about Hex, asking if did you promote it for money? Like, first of all, I never promoted it, period. Second of all, it's definitely, I didn't take any money. Nobody promoted Hex for money. That's not the way it worked. Mm-hmm. Richard knew that would be a big red flag because he's smart. Like he outsmarted the government here in every way. Now the government's pissed and they're pitching a little bitch fit. And that's what's going on with this case. I'm sure we'll talk about the case much later on the podcast as well. But we got to end it here. We're over time a little bit. RG3, thank you so much for coming on. Look forward to all the stuff we're going to be doing together. And do you have any final words for anybody that might be listening?
Yeah, real quick. I just want to say that, the first true DeFi crypto is Hex on Pulsechain. Hex was built on Ethereum. It wasn't a true DeFi product because there's a mining algorithm attached to the Ethereum blockchain in which it was built on. When Pulse launched Hex on its blockchain, when it forked from Ethereum, it became the first truly decentralized crypto ever to be launched on the blockchain. And here it is. So look into it. Look into what it is. Look into what it means, and look into Pulsechain and what it means. And for you developers out there, hey guys, there is a fruitful spot of land here for you to go ahead and start developing on, and that's on Pulsechain. And I can't wait for us to talk and see more as things develop.
Love it. Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for watching or listening, wherever you may be. You can find us on all the iTunes and all those things on the podcast, but also check us out here on YouTube. Thank you for listening and watching to Zone 5, a Pulsechain podcast. And yes, I am going to do that every single time. Are you looking to use your crypto for a large purchase, like a home or a car? Well, you might want to consider Liquid Loans. It's the first truly decentralized lending protocol built specifically for Pulsechain. Get 0% interest-free DeFi liquidity for all of your needs right now. To learn more about liquidloans.io, the sponsor of the Zone 5 podcast, visit liquidloans.io.